Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here, D3 Topics Gamer, here to share with you another one of my video game franchise character tier list ranking videos. This time I'll be doing a ranking of pretty much all of the primary set of characters that at least have a moment throughout the entire God of War franchise. So if you do happen to enjoy this video by the end, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep track of me on all my future videos. And remember, if any of you guys have any ideas for future rankings or top 10 list videos or reviews or discussion videos in general, please be sure to let me know what you would like to see in the comments down below, and I will try to get it to you as soon as I can. Before I start, I would just like to give a major shout out to Mr. Friendly Neighborhood Geek 99 for sending in this idea. So if you happen to see him have a comment down below, make sure you give it a thumbs up and thank him for the video idea. Now, God of War, easily one of PlayStation's most popular franchises, probably easily one of the most successful and most noticeable franchises. Some might even say that Kratos could possibly be the face of PlayStation. And this franchise has been going for almost 20 years, as the first game came out in 2005. And heck, in my opinion, two of those games are in my top 10, like, all-time greatest games of all time in the form of God of War 3 and Ragnarok. And it has a lot of characters. And there were a number of tier lists that I had to find and a couple I had to adapt. But I do think that I found a good one here. And I did have to first take a little bit of research because of how some of these pictures were cropped. It made it a little bit difficult for me to actually see who was what, but I was able to kind of figure out who was who, except I think one character who I'll save for first. But yeah. So the way I have my ranking done, I have it done in God tier. These are just easily the best characters. Demigods, characters that were really, really good, but have potential to be better. Mortals, I think characters that are just sort of there. They do their role. They're memorable, but not quite some of the all-time greats. Characters that are unimportant. They just show up, do their thing. They're gone, but their presence doesn't really have a major effect on the story. Characters I just flat out didn't like. And then really characters I don't remember. So I'm going to get that one out of the way first, because the only character on here that I really do not know who this is this character. I tried finding pictures. I cannot tell who that is. I thought that maybe this might have been like a character from God of War Ascension, but that's not it. But yeah, that's the only character on this list that I just don't know who that is. So let's start with the top. And before I start, guys, I am a little sick. So if I cough, forgive me. But yeah, I'm trying to manage it as best I can. I've already had medicine, all kinds of things. So starting with the first character, we have Angrboda. I like this character. She's a demigod. I like her friendship with Atreus. She does play a significant role in, I'd say, the later half of God of War Ragnarok. Kratos likes her. I'm 100% positive that if we do get another God of War game, I feel like it has to focus on Atreus. I think we've pretty much gone as far as we need to with Kratos. So let's focus on his son and see him older. And I absolutely like to see how Atreus's and Angrboda's relationship might develop in a future game. So yeah, fantastic character, great performance. I can't wait to see more of her and see how her character develops in a future game. So yeah, she's a great character. Next, we have Aphrodite. Easily has the best set of tits in the entire franchise, and we were almost gifted with a lesbian threesome in God of War 3. So just for that, I'll put her in demigod. Plus, she easily, in my opinion, has probably one of, I think, maybe the second best sex scene game in God of War. I think the first one has to go to the one in Ghost of Sparta, where he seems to take part in an orgy with 10 other women. But to truly use your other sword to master the goddess of love is truly get you some major cred points in my book. So yeah, Aphrodite, yeah, and she's like the one god we don't kill. So yeah, you gotta give her credit for that. Next we have Ares, the original God of War. I'm gonna put him as mortal. Well, I take that back. I'll put him as demigod. I think he was a pretty solid antagonist. This was a character who, first saved Kratos when he was about to be defeated by the barbarians, made him pretty much the leader of his forces, and then when Kratos then tricked Kratos into killing his wife and family, and then Kratos seek revenge on Ares, and then Ares would, just kind of go his own way. I don't think he was really one of the all-time best antagonists, but I think he kind of set the standard for what you would expect from antagonists. And there is a lot more depth to his character. They certainly went more in depth with why he was doing certain things over the course of the franchise, and they very much opened the door for that in other games. So I do appreciate it. Had it just focused on just that very first game, and they hadn't expanded upon why he was doing what he was doing, I think I would have dropped him a lot lower. But because we do have the expanded lore about his character and why he does the things he does, I think that made him a lot more interesting, which is why I put him in the demigod area. Next, we have Athena, also demigod. Probably one of the primary allies that Kratos has over the course of his life, and then kind of ends up sort of manipulating him towards the end, and still kind of follows him when he travels to the other world. Very great character. Always tries to be diplomatic, and then kind of goes through a little bit of a change of her own. But yeah, her presence always seemed to be felt throughout the course of games. Although I don't recall she was ever kind of explored much in Ragnarok. But like to see her in God of War 4 was definitely a big moment for me. So yeah, definitely demigod. Atreus, definitely God tier. Easy. I think he is the future of the franchise. Great character. Love seeing his development, not just in God of War 4, but God of War Ragnarok. Getting to play as him was easily one of the best surprises that I experienced going to the game. I did not know we were going to be able to play as him. Seeing him kind of explore his god powers was a major plus. Oh man, I mean, I would only put him as demigod because there's so much more potential, but like, just out of these two games, he's easily already one of the best characters in the entire franchise, and his relationship with his father is so well realized. Incredible performance, great character. He easily is the future of the God of War franchise, and I cannot wait to see him develop more in the next God of War game. Next, we have Baldur. Easily demigod. I mean, God of War had a great set of characters. I mean, this was a tortured character. Really messed up. He was kind of somewhat invincible, or like kind of unkillable for a while until we figure out exactly what his weaknesses was. But his presence was just always threatening. It always felt like he was just always unhinged, and you kind of felt sorry for him. I mean, when you actually kind of know more about his backstory, he just kind of seemed a little bit tragic. So, how he ends his end is, it's pretty satisfying, but almost necessary. I kind of felt like I did him a service because of how unstable he was. So, yeah, and Oda certainly wasn't happy about his death either. But yeah, Baldur was a great final antagonist for this new era of God of War. Next, we have Bronk. Bronk was a great character. Great character. We are already off to a great start. This video is going to take a while, but yeah, Baldur was a great character. Sad what happened to him. I certainly didn't see it coming. But yeah, has a lot of depth. Just amazing character. Next, Calliope. I gotta put Calliope in Mortal. This is Kratos' daughter. She doesn't really get much to do outside of in God of War Chains of Olympus. That's really where herself as a character is really presented. But I did appreciate that Kratos was willing to talk about her to Freya in Ragnarok. So it kind of made sure that this character, even though it was so long ago for Kratos, still had a presence in his life. I don't really think they could have done much with Calliope from what they did. So I think with what little we saw of her as a character, I thought they did a pretty solid job. Next, we have Kratos, easily one of the best boss fights in the entire franchise. I mean, he's kind of unimportant. I mean, he's really there's a plot device. I mean, he was originally the king of the Titans, got dethroned by Zeus, and then had the Temple of Pandora put on his back. And then we visit him later on again when we visit him in Tartarus, and we fight him again, and usually one of the greatest boss fights in the entire franchise. But just as a character, he really is just sort of there just to get killed and for us to move on. So yeah. Next, we have Kratos' brother Deimos. I gotta put him in Mortal. There was so much they could have done with his character. In fact, if you actually played the very first game, there was a kind of like a little teaser to like what a story involving his brother would be, and they kind of adapted it a little bit. But the problem is that by the time Deimos gets involved in the game and goes to Sparta, we're already at the very end. I wish that he had shown up like at the halfway mark, and we had done more from them. But like literally, it's like we get to the very end of the game. Spoiler alert. We find him, he's kind of mad at us, we team up with him, he gets killed, and that's it. I was just like, wow, for a character who's supposed to be like, Kratos' Spartan brother, really wish they had done a lot more with him, and it's just a shame that they didn't. So yeah, I gotta put Deimos in Mortal. Next, we have Fenrir, or I apologize if I'm mispronouncing, the wolf. I gotta put him in Mortal. Had a good role. Uh, good connection with Atreus. But outside of him having his soul transferred, and didn't really do too much. But solid character. Next we have Freya. Oh, she is definitely god tier. Easily, I would say. Would I put her ahead of Atreus? No. Nah. Well, no. Okay. So, Freya, cool character in the God of War 4. Characters elevated in God of War Ragnarok. First starts up as an ally, then gets pissed at us because we killed her son Baldur, and then we end up kind of reconciling and then becoming allies. And I just think Freya's an incredible character. Her anger towards Odin was just awesome, and then getting to team up with her over the course of the game was just amazing. I hope we get to see her more again. I mean, I'm sure Kratos would come back, but like, yeah, especially if you played Valhalla. She kind of has like a small role in there, but important nonetheless. But yeah, Freya, absolute god character. And this is followed by her brother. I think his name is Freyr. I would say he's mortal character. I would say could have been better. I think his role was pretty solid. But I think I would put him higher if we had spent a little bit more time with him and gotten a little more time understanding the relationship between him and his sister. It's pretty toxic, and it's clear that something happened between the two of them. And we do explain it, but I just wish they had spent more time kind of diving into it than they did in Ragnarok. It was done well. It was just I wanted more. So that's where I would put him. Next, we have Gaia, the leader of the Titans. I'm going to put her in mortal. She does have a role in terms of like reviving Kratos and then wanting Kratos to kind of lead the Titans to take down Olympus, and then she kind of turns on Kratos, and then she ends up getting killed by Kratos. I mean, her role kind of flux. It was like, oh, this is kind of good, and I like the direction they're going, and then she just immediately turns on Kratos for like no good reason. So like I think that's what brings her down just a little bit. I think if they'd kept her character consistent compared to how she was in the second game, I probably would have given her a demigod ranking. Next, we have Hades. Hades, the Lord of the Dead. He really doesn't have much of a presence outside of being Lord of the Dead. I mean, he is one of the more important gods, but he really is just there to get killed and move on. I like how he does bring up his wife, though, so I'll give you that. So there's that. Next, we have Heimdall. I'm going to put him in demigod. This guy was a scumbag. Ugh, scumbag. Liked his character. I liked his character, but like I like to hate him. You know, he has the ability to kind of see things before they happen. Clearly loyal to Odin. Didn't like Atreus or mortals. Yeah, very, very interesting, very dynamic character who seems to have his own motives at times, and I think he was very well rounded. And yeah, not really much I can say about that. Next, we have Helios. Was first kidnapped in Chains of Olympus, and then later on we rip his head off and use him as a flashlight. I think I gotta put him. I think most of those gods are gonna be unimportant because, despite the fact that Helios was the purpose of Chains of Olympus, we had to go rescue him. As a character, he's not really fleshed out at all. So there's not much to him. He's just sort of there, and then he dies, and that's it. But I do recall that he does kind of come back a little bit in Ragnarok in Valhalla. So I did like that little thing. So, you know what, just for that, because I actually liked how they did him, I'm actually going to elevate him a little bit. I really was not expecting to see Helios in Ragnarok. I liked how they used him. Next, we have Hephaestus, the blacksmith of the gods. I gotta put him in mortal. He created Pandora's box. Actually, I would put him right about there. Actually, about there. He invented Pandora's box. He is the father of, I believe, Pandora. He was tortured by Zeus. So you kind of feel bad for him. He did help create one of my favorite weapons in God of War 3, so that's a plus. But then he tries to turn on us, and then we're forced to kill him. Strangely enough, he's also the husband of Aphrodite, so I don't know what you saw in this guy, but he must have been a real looker before he got turned to like this little mutant thing. So yeah, I will put him immortal. Next we have Hera, kind of unimportant, wife of Zeus, queen of the harvest. Says a couple insults, we choke her out, and then she dies, and then that's about it, really. Hercules, I gotta put him in mortal. They could have done so much with him. It was nice that they got Kevin Sorbo to do his voice, who was like Hercules in the TV show during the 90s. So I did like that little element, but like they could have done so much with that character instead of just being kind of a glorified boss fight that gets killed and then we never hear from him again. Next we have, I believe this has to be Hermes. Another unimportant character. Cocky little bastard. But once he gets his legs cut off, he's not really much of an issue after that. Next, we have the World Serpent. I have to put the World Serpent as a demigod, but a low demigod. I mean, the World Serpent has an important role, but his role is more set in the background of the story. But if you know the importance of World Serpent, you understand why. So even though his presence is always there, he has very few actual like focus on him moments, but when that does happen, it's very effective. And his presence is always felt throughout both games. So yeah, I would definitely put him in the demigods tier. Next, we have Kratos, who's obviously God tier and the highest God tier character. He is the face of the franchise. He is the god of war, the ghost of Sparta, the legend, and the god of peace now. I would say Kratos has probably the best amount of character change of any character. I mean, when you compare it to how he was in the original series and how much he's a different character in the reboot series, which is more a sequel series, I just love both dynamics of this character. You get the young, anger-filled Spartan warrior and the much more older, wiser, mature man who's trying to control that anger and not pass those kind of sins and aspects of his character onto his son, and really does not want to be the man that he was before. He learns a lot over the course of both journeys. So yeah, easily top character on the list without question. Next, we have Kratos' wife, who I just discovered recently, but apparently her name is Lysandria. I mean, I won't put her in unimportant because she's not unimportant, but like she's kind of in the same department as Calliope, but even less. We don't really get to see much of her. Apart from being Kratos' wife. I mean, she had a role, but we didn't really spend as much time to develop her, so that's where I feel like we have to put her. Next, we have Magni, or one of Thor's sons. I thought it was kind of unimportant, and heck, even Odin said so, saying that both his boys were kind of useless, which is why I'll also put Modi also in the unimportant department. Not much. Mimir. Mimir's definitely, I would say he's easily top of the demigod. Mimir is an incredible character, incredible sidekick, very helpful in battle, very much good in exposition, and I like a character who's just all knowing and all wisdom and just like adds so much to every scene he's in. Like just to know that Kratos is never always alone was just great. But yeah, Mimir, incredible character. Next we have Odin. Odin is definitely demigod tier. Let's see. I would definitely put him over you, and E. I would not put you over Mimir. I will say the portrayal of Odin was definitely surprising. I was not expecting that, but I welcomed it. He's a manipulator. He likes to lie. He's like kind of fearful of what the future might hold, and he's willing to try to do anything to avoid it, much like Zeus. So there's definitely a dynamic between Odin and Zeus, and they're kind of like one and the same in their own mythologies. So I liked that, but I definitely think they handled Odin a lot better than Zeus. Next, we have Pandora. I gotta put Pandora in mortal. I mean, apart from like her little role in God of War 3, I mean, she's the daughter of Hephaestus. She's kind of the flame of, I think it's the flame of hope, something like that in God of War 3. She helps us out in a couple of puzzles. We have to protect her in a couple of situations, but like, apart from that, like when she has a role, she does it, and then we move on. Next, we have Persephone. I'll put Persephone at least in. She's not as unimportant as some of the other gods. She does have a role of being like the main antagonist in Chains of Olympus and kind of like wanting to destroy the gods because she's pissed off that she kind of got tricked into marrying Hades. And it is nice that she has a cameo in God of War 3. So I thought that was a nice touch. So that's where I'll put her. Next, we have Poseidon. Even though his character is unimportant, I think his boss fight is enough for me to elevate him to mortal. I mean, he kind of shows up, does his thing, gets killed. But, like, I think his boss fight was, like, set the stage of just the epicness of God of War 3. Which I have to admit is something that not even Ragnarok or God of War 4 was able to match. Like God, don't get me wrong, Ragnarok and God of War 4, incredible games, but they never quite reached the epicness of that. So that's where I got to put Poseidon. Then we have this guy, Ratasuk the squirrel. I got all right, man. All I know is he like guards the world tree, but I really don't know much about him. Like, kind of forgettable, if I'm being fair. Next, we have Sif, Thor's wife. I'll put her in mortal tier. I mean, she's kind of Thor's voice of reason. Kind of helps him to stand up to his father in the end. And she's kind of, like, has a good sense about herself. I just wish we could have done more for her. Oh. Sindar. Oh, man. Oh, man. I hesitate to say his name, but yeah, you guys know who this is. Man, definitely God tier. Very different character in the first game, and then what happens to him in the second, just like, oof. I just hope it doesn't bring more problems in a future game, but this guy's an incredible character, and it's tragic what happens to him, but and how much he changes as a character. It's he I would even say he's more of a tragic character than Kratos ever was. I mean, it was bad. It was bad. I mean, the things he did for his brother, and then it gets really deep. So that's why I got to put him. Next, the Furies from God of War Ascension. I gotta say, I would say they're unimportant, but they did have a role to play in some of the events of the later games. So I'm gonna put the Furies kind of around here. So I feel comfortable putting them there. Next, we have Sindar. Wait, no, that's not. Samara. I believe that's how it's said. I think he just kind of has his role. He does his job, and then we just sort of move on. I mean, I mean, in lore wise, it's pretty important, but like, no, it doesn't go all that far. Wait a second. Oh no, I'm getting that wrong. That's not the Furies. That's the Sisters of Fate. Oh, I mean, they're, I'll put them even lower. Yeah. I say the Furies. The Furies are a little bit more significant than they are, but yeah, okay. Yeah, good I caught that one. Next, we have Thor. Ooh, where would I put Thor? I'm good. You know what? I'm actually going to put him in God tier. Question is, where? Yes, I put him ahead. I think I'm about there. Yeah, I can't put him over Freya. Thor. Kind of an antagonist character, but like, not really. Son of the All-Father. Has a drinking problem. Has a very estranged like relationship with his daughter and his wife, and he just wants to serve and do what he can. And he's a very, very flawed character. Messed up character who has like a lot of regrets in his life. But yeah, absolutely one of the best well-rounded characters that they brought in Ragnarok, without question. And he was not how I thought he would end up being by the end. But I absolutely loved his character development, character change over the course of the game. Next, we have Thor's daughter. I think her name is Third. I feel bad. I might get her name because she's actually a really good character, and I'm gonna put her also in demigod. Much for the same reason as Agrabota, in terms of how they were presented in their first introduction was very, very great, and there's no question that if we get a third game, she's going to be back. And the fact that she might actually grow wings and now has access to this beauty, my God, is she gonna be an incredible character? So that's why I would put her in the demigod department. Next, we have Tyr. Tyr, definitely demigod. Question is where in the demigods? Put him around here. He is this world's god of war, who has an interesting amount of character change. There is a little bit of secret about his true identity that I won't spoil here, but yeah, like they do. Most of his like interesting elements really come in the DLC Ragnarok. I mean, not Ragnarok, Valhalla. That's where I really think his character really elevates. I think had I stuck to what we get from him in just the main game, I would have kept him immortal. But then you find out the little twist about his character in near the end. And yeah, so that's where I would put him. And the last character on the list is Zeus. Where would I put Zeus? I think I would put Zeus demigod. Let's see. Yes, 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 and I think about there. Yes. So Zeus, main antagonist of the original God of War series, gets consumed by fear when Pandora's box opens, tries to kill Kratos on multiple occasions, succeeds, and then tries to take him out multiple times. But yeah, this is a character who started out as one way, got corrupted, and then became a tyrannical tyrant that needs to be brought down. And that's exactly what happens. And heck, he even has a little bit of a cameo in the later games. So yeah, that's where I would put him. So that is my tier list ranking of all of the God of War characters, or at least the God of War characters that I was aware of. I don't expect any of you guys to do your own ranking, but heck, if you want to give it a shot, go right ahead, and I'll be sure to check it out. So again, hope you like this video, and I'll see you guys next time.